Hello and welcome to Paul Ricard for the second qualifying session of the International GT Open season. This is to set the grid for the second of the opening brace of races we have here in Paul Ricard to kick off the 2019 season. You join myself, Ben Evans, on a sunny but chilly morning here in the south of France. But the action on track is surely going to heat up very, very soon as this full field of supercars thunders out onto the circuit. We've got 30 minutes to play with, and the last of the cars in this queue onto the track, the Teo Marti Motorsport McLaren of Marcello Hahn and Alain Cadet, was the car that took pole position for the first race of the year in the hands of Alain Cadet, en route to finishing runners-up in the Pro-Am class yesterday. The race overall, though, was claimed by the Emil Frey Racing team in their Lamborghini Huracan, Albert Costa and Giacomo Altoe, but it was a day of mixed emotions because the sister car of Norbert Seidler and Michael Grenier didn't get much further than the first lap of the race. Contact pitching Grenier out of the race, which means that his Austrian co-pilot Seidler didn't get to drive at all yesterday, so he has got the ambition of being able to show what he can do behind the wheel. We had a very entertaining race yesterday with the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghini joined on the podium by two of the Teo Marti Motorsport McLarens, with Fran Rader and Andres Saravia finishing just behind teammates Martin Kodrich and Enrique Chavez. And that was great performance for the Spanish team, the debut of the McLaren 720, and in the end, despite the chasing from Chavez, finishing just half a second behind Giacomo Altoe, but he couldn't find a way past him. In terms of the Pro-Am class, well, Pro-Am class honours went to the reigning champions, Valentin Pierberg and Tom Onslow Cole, and it was Alexander Raquina and Martin Conrad for the HTB Motorsport squad who claimed the AM class. Another driver we didn't get really to see yesterday is Jules Gounon at the wheel of the Petri Course Bentley, a car that was pitched into retirement fairly early on in proceedings. Fran Rueda always can be relied upon to be spectacular and immediately out of the blocks, trying to go rapidly in his Teo Marti Motorsport McLaren. Yesterday's qualifying session we saw times ebbing and flowing throughout the course of the qualifying period. And the benchmark pole time that they are looking to beat from yesterday was a 1 minute 59.576. So that is the sort of time that we're looking for, although possibly might go a little bit quicker as Rueda thunders down the Mistral straight. Teammate Enrique Chavez has gone even quicker through the first sector. So they are out of the blocks early on. Rader alongside Andres Saravia, who was right in the mix for the championship last year, and also a pairing that always enjoy racing here at Paul Ricard. They were victorious at the French circuit 2018. They will be hoping, if they can, to get the car on pole position and do much the same again this afternoon. But we shall see. As also going quickly in the early stage of the session, Rafael Echeverria, who alongside Jiatong Liang finished on the Pro-Am podium yesterday in the Raton Racing by Target entry. Other drivers to watch for in the session going to be the likes of Tom Onslow Cole in the SPS Automotive Mercedes. He and Valentin Pierberg, outright race winners on occasion last year in the Pro-Am class. And also Matt Griffin in the Spirit of Race Ferrari, who really carved through the field yesterday afternoon. Eventually finished just off the podium. So Fran Rueda, an opening time of a 2 minutes 2.603. Let's get the session rolling. Enrique Chavez goes even quicker at 2 minutes 1.609 as we watch Norbert Seidler in the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghini. Seidler, as we say, who we didn't get to see on track yesterday. So we are in car with Enrique Chavez in the Teo Marti Motorsport McLaren. He's tucked up behind one of the target Lamborghinis. I'm not sure which of those it is from this angle. Riding on the curbs through turn 6. And the Portuguese driver moving across to GT racing, having competed in single-seaters for several seasons. Quick through turn 1, it's Raffaele Gianmaria who he's pursuing, and he's going to get the benefit of some tow from Gianmaria down the first part of the Mistral straight. And for Chavez, a slight improvement on the previous lap already. Matt Griffin, meanwhile, has popped up into third. Miguel Ramos now goes third in the other of the SPS Automotive Mercedes. Ramos and Fabrizio Crostani finishing fourth overall yesterday. And Ramos and Crostani will be looking to make a tilt towards the championship, as just running out wide there on Enrique Chavez, pushing a little bit too hard, and that lap had the potential of being a 2-minute point-something lap, but it's now gone away from a little bit, running out wide onto the high abrasion asphalt, as Alessio Rivera goes quickest now in the Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes. Rivera, a former race winner in the Euro Formula Open. He and Daniel Zampieri in the thick of the action yesterday, but eventually fading lace on to finish in 6th place. As Enrique Chavez peels in to the pit lane. So his lap is done. And here's another look at that moment into turn 11. He's in the turbulent air behind Raffaele Gianmaria. And the car just understeers out wide, and that is what cost him. For Raffaele Gianmaria, meanwhile, currently in 8th place in the session, as Martin Conrad goes fastest in the HTP Motorsport Mercedes, a 2 minutes 1.307 for yesterday's AM class winner. Fran Rueda currently second, Rivera third, then for Chavez, Norbert Siedler up to 4th, and then Giacomo to 5th, and then Giacomo Altoe into 6th position. Of course, this will all change throughout the course of the session. And it's Alessio Rivera and Norbert Siedler who are the two drivers on good laps at the moment. Rivera quicker than anybody through Sector 2, and here we pick up the Italian. And the Mercedes, a really potent proposition. Talking to some of the drivers last night, they're also saying it's just such a hard car to follow through some of the real technical sections, just with the turbulent wash behind it, as just a little bit of a run over the curb there for Alessio Rivera. And he goes quickest now, 2 minutes 0.415 for Alessio Rivera. So we are beginning to get pretty close to the marks that were set yesterday. Rivera just to back out of it through turn 1, just over committed. Miguel Ramos up second, Onslow Cole into third, just 13 thousandths of a second adrift of his SPS Automotive teammate. As Norbert Siedler now goes second at 2 minutes 0.482, 67 thousandths of a second. Back, Giacomo Altoe, who we watch now, has gone into third place with a 2 minutes 0.485, just 3 thousandths of a second slower than teammate Norbert Siedler. So the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghinis very, very evenly matched. And we've got the top 3 cars in the session currently separated by just 70 thousandths of a second. Raffaele Gianmaria in 7th place. Looking to push for more if he can, really pushing hard, taking a bollard with him for company. And the most fractional of improvements here got the potential to yield big rewards in terms of grid position. Gianmaria, again, a personal best through Sector 1. Giacomo Altoe, meanwhile, up the road ahead of him, just setting the sort of pace that may, and it's a pretty big may, be enough to sneak him towards pole position. Norbert Siedler caught in traffic. Giacomo Altoe, he's not got the benefit of a tow, but he's also got the benefit of being able to pick his lines exactly where he wants to place the car. And that is what he's doing through double apex, turn 11. It's Martin Conrad in 4th, Miguel Ramos up to 4th, Miguel Ramos in 5th, Slow Cole 6th, Bradley Ellis has gone 7th in the Optimum Motorsport Aston Martin, another of the front-running Pro-Am class cars. And Altoe, he needs to find just 7/100ths of a second as he closes up onto the tail of Norbert Seidler. Seidler's having to back off some clear air, and Altoe does go quickest to 2 minutes, .333. Fractional improvement there for Altoe, only about 1.5 tenths of a second, but it's enough to move him now up to the top of the times. So it's Altoe from Rivera, then Seidler, Martin Conrad 4th, Ramos in 5th, from Onslow Cole in 6th, and Bradley Ellis in 7th, ahead of Rafael Maria, Fran Rader in 9th, and Federico Leo, 2012 champion, in 10th. Now the driver who's really flying is Enrique Chavez in the Teo Marti Motorsport McLaren, who is in the 3rd sector at the moment, but has set personal bests through sectors 1 and 2. We pick up Onslow Cole, who is also on a good lap as well. So the potential for all to change very, very quickly. And there is Onslow Cole. He's going to be potentially fractionally off at pole position. Enrique Chavez potentially fractionally onto provisional pole as Onslow Cole accelerates out of the final corner, pursues the Tempesta Racing Ferrari of Christopher Frogger, and Onslow Cole goes 4th, 2 minutes .859. Here then is Enrique Chavez out of the final turn. Has he kept it up through this long 3rd and final sector? No, he hasn't. It's a 2 minutes .330, so there must have been a mistake there somewhere for the Portuguese driver. And that is potentially a lap that got away from him. Nonetheless, good enough to temporarily, anyway, pip teammate Fran Rueda. Rueda currently in the pit lane, as is Matt Griffin, from whom we've not yet, I think, seen his true pace. Alessio Rivera also into the pits as well. But with a 30-minute session to manage, they do have the opportunity to pick and choose their runs and decide how when they're going to push for times. Meanwhile, Rafael Maria goes up into 5th position, back in car with Enrique Chavez. And the first sector is not his best, but it's not a bad sector either. So there's a big bite of curb coming onto the Mistral straight. Winds up the pace in the McLaren. He is pursuing the car of Eliseo Martinez, the Lazarus Lamborghinis. Martinez, the graduate of the Euro Formula Open Championship. And this lap, not quite there for Chavez. In car with Federico Leo then in the Ombra Racing Lamborghini that he shares with Naji Razak, and currently Leo in 11th. Big bite of curb into turn 11, but Leo personal bests through the first 2 sectors, so he will be looking to carve out some sort of an improvement. Not sure it's going to be quite enough though to trouble the very, very front of the field, but it should be good enough to push Federico Leo up to somewhere inside the top 10. So Enrique Chavez does go 2nd, so that lap we started, well, it wasn't as good as his previous one, but it's still good enough for 2nd. 68,000ths of a second off pole position for the Teo Marti Motorsport McLaren as Leo flashes through and does go into the top 10 at 2 minutes .213 as we hit the halfway point of the session. Giacomo Altoe beginning to try and wind up for a quick lap as well. So the Ombra Racing Lamborghini just wiggles a little bit under the pace being pursued by Leo. Fran Rueda remains in the pit lane. Matt Griffin has just emerged, so we'll keep an eye on the Spirit of Race Ferrari. See how he is able to move up through the order. Chavez, this lap isn't likely to be an improvement. He's about a second or more drifted where he would need and want to be through the first sector. So nobody yet beneath the 2-minute barrier. So there's Martinez, who we were watching a moment ago in the Lazarus Lamborghini. He's just come up to 12th and is on another improved lap. Bradley Ellis, there he is in the Optima Motorsport Aston Martin. And Ellis currently in 10th position. Aston Martin, a new for 2019 car, so all the while, the team learning just how to get the very best out of it. And Ellis on his better laps of the session, if he's able to maintain this sort of pace, it should be good enough to put him into about 4th or 5th positions. Let's have a look as he accelerates through. And it is a 2 minutes 1.130, so that's good enough for 8th place for Bradley Ellis. He's already lost his best lap time of the session to a track limits violation. So we're at a point of the session now where everything is just beginning to settle down. Lots of cars in the pit lane, but Matt Griffin now out on a quick lap through the first couple of sectors, just a 1/10 of a second away from pole position. But it's this final sector that represents 40–45% of the lap time, where the lap is really made and lost. Jules Gounon also on a decent lap in the Petri Course Bentley. That car thunderously fast through the speed trap for Gounon, 250 kilometers per hour, which is getting pretty close to about double the speed that you're allowed on the French motorway. This gives an indication of how quick he is going. And if anything, it's Gounon's lap at the moment, which looks like it's going to be a little bit better than the one of Matt Griffin. But let's see what Griffin can do as he accelerates through and over the line. And Matt Griffin goes 5th, a 2 minutes 0.591 for Griffin. Here is then Gounon in the Petri Course Bentley. Car that was in the wars a little bit yesterday. And the Bentley very quick in a straight line through the corners, not looking too much of a handful either for Gounon. He's just got one turn to go to bring this lap to a close. And the schedule that he's on, this might be enough for the top 2 rows of the grid as things currently stand. Past as he comes, and it went away from him in the last sector, so he goes 9th for 2 minutes 1.025. But this is incredibly close, this qualifying session. The top 13 cars all covered by under a second at this stage of proceedings. And Gounon unleashed for another lap. Let's see if he can elicit further performance. Matt Griffin once more on another decent lap, certainly through the first sector. So Griffin hoping to improve from that 5th position. Meanwhile, here comes Louis Silva in the Sports and New Mercedes, and Silva about to reel off his best lap of the session. He's currently 4th of the AM class runners. What can he do this time around? Through comes Louis Silva, and that gains him a place. He goes up into 22nd position as we pick up with Matt Griffin. Meanwhile, Fran Rueda has just done the fastest first sector of anybody. There you see the confirmation at the bottom of your screen. So again, quick times beginning to be set. Onslow Cole, another driver on a decent lap. Matt Griffin has had the benefit of clear circuit once more. Headlights ablaze, accelerates through. And that lap turning out not to be quite an improvement. So here is Rueda, and indications pretty good so far from the first part of the lap that the Teo Martin Motorsport McLaren is positioned or poised to try and snatch pole position with, though, the big caveat, there's still a third of the session remaining. Through the sinuous section, the final sector and up to the final corner. Tom Onslow-Cole, another driver who's on a very, very good lap as well. So here comes Rueda. Has he been able to keep that pace up? Yes, he has, a 2:0.92. So Rueda takes provisional pole by a quarter of a second. Excellent lap from the Teo Martin Motorsport man. Now, here is Onslow-Cole. He's caught up, though, behind Kang Ling in the Vincenzo Suspiria Racing Lamborghini. And Ling possibly setting himself up for his own flying lap, not moving aside. So what does that do for the SPS Mercedes? So Onslow-Cole comes through and goes fastest. And Onslow-Cole, the 1:59.741. And that is just a couple of tenths away from yesterday's pole position mark. Fran Rueda immediately looking to retaliate. Emilio De Villotto watches nervously on the pit wall. The real challenge here for Onslow-Cole, though, is whether or not he can find a way past Ling. So here is Rueda up through the first sector. So Onslow-Cole's had to back out of it through the first sector. Raffaele Gianmaria, another driver on a decent lap, but one that I don't think is going to challenge pole position particularly. Fran Rueda still 2 tenths up on pole. This would be a 1:59.5, so absolutely in line with yesterday's pole position time if he is able to maintain that sort of pace through the final sector. Rueda accelerating out of turn 11 uphill into the left-hander at turn 12. All the while, the pace of the car continues to build round turn 13 to turn 14. Then looks to just kick the car out of turn 15. This is where the pace will really look to kick in now from Rueda. Across the line he goes, and it went away a little bit, improved his time, but not his position. So 2 tenths off of Onslow-Cole's mark from Fran Rueda. The Teo Martin Motorsport McLaren. Giacomo Altoe, another driver on a good lap now in the Emil Frey Racing Lamborghini that was victorious yesterday. Bradley Ellis also looking to get back into the top 10 as well. We have got the top 17 cars separated by just 1.7 seconds. So here is Altoe, and he may just be able to slot himself onto the front row, if not a little bit more than that. He's got one of the Mercedes in front of him. I don't think it's going to have delayed yesterday's race winner at all particularly. And over the line comes Altoe again, an improved lap time, not an improved grid position, 2:0.49. But now the time's really starting to pile in. Bradley Ellis goes 9th. Fran Rueda looking to line up for another decent lap. So is Raffaele Gianmaria. And Rueda again in the McLaren, so strong through the first 2 sectors. It's a case what he can get from the final sector. Matt Griffin, meanwhile, has gone 4th, 2:0.375. That demotes Enrique Chavez, who is on an out lap at the moment, and so we'll be looking to push in a moment to 5th. Alessio Rivera is in 6th and beginning to build up his pace. Norbert Seidler in 7th, Raffaele Gianmaria in 8th, both on decent laps. Here comes Gianmaria, cross line and goes 4th with a 2:0.360. In the event, 6 tenths of a second off Onslow-Cole's pole position mark. Will it become Fran Rueda's pole position mark as Rueda comes past us now? No, it's not, by a fraction of a second. A 1:59.9 for Rueda. Again, improves his time, doesn't improve his grid position. So we've got a couple of drivers losing their best lap times for track limits. So Matt Griffin, his 5th place time is one of them. So the Spirit of Race Ferrari will get pitched down the order. We, meanwhile, riding carp with Enrique Chavez in another of the Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens. So we pick up Miguel Ramos. Ramos currently in 13th place. Chavez, this is his first flying lap of the run. And what we've seen already is it's maybe the second lap where they'll get the absolute peak performance. Nicola Di Marco in the other of the Lazarus Lamborghinis has improved up into 13th place. So Di Marco beginning to show strongly as well. As Enrique Chavez accelerates out of the final corner. Just 4 3/4 minutes to run. And Enrique Chavez does take pole position, a 1 minute 59.699. So Enrique Chavez up into pole, 42 thousandths of a second clear of Tom Onslow Cole. And now it really is a full-blown shootout for pole position. Raffaele Gianmaria very much part of it as well. Raton racing by target. Lamborghini superb through the first couple of sectors each and every lap. It's a case of the final sector for Gianmaria, and that gives the Italian 5th place. 2 minutes point 325 for Raffaele Gianmaria. Alessio Rivera also trying for a quick lap in his Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes. Top 12 cars all covered by a second over a 2-minute long lap. Only 3 of them, though, have got beneath the 2-minute barrier. Alonso Martinez goes 7th as Davide Roda has a little bit of a moment over at turn 11. Just quickly spins his Mercedes. He should be able to get going without too much drama. Indeed, he does. Martin Conrad goes 5th for AM-class pole in the HTP Motorsport Mercedes. Not for long, Alessio Rivera goes 3rd for Antonelli Motorsport. So Rivera just 53 thousandths of a second adrift of the pole mark of Enrique Chavez, but in 3rd place. Onslow Cole is back out for a flying lap. So the order is all changed. It's Chavez from Onslow Cole, Rivera, Fran Rueda in 4th, Giacomo Artoe in 5th, Martin Conrad, AM-class pole in 6th, Raffaele Gianmaria in 7th, Flamigo Ramos 8th, Eliseo Martinez 9th, and Norbert Seidler currently completes the top 10, ahead of Bradley Ellis and Matt Griffin. Here comes Onslow Cole then, to the end of another flying lap. Doesn't quite improve on that occasion. So he's got time for 1, maybe 2 laps, tyres permitting. And there is a problem, and that is a spin for Miguel Ramos over at turn 1. And hopefully he will recover without too much of a delay. What it will do for Onslow Cole is possibly have caused him a little bit of a delay. Now here is Alessio Rivera, and Rivera was well up through the first sector. Not doing too badly through the middle sector either, right on the limit. The Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes, which just gives him a little bit of understeer through turn 11. And the session beginning to wind down. Rivera, one of the few cars out on track that's still on the cusp of a really, really quick lap time, but he's in amongst some traffic. And has Martin Conrad seen him? Just about Rivera trying to carve his way through the traffic. Accelerates out at the final corner. He only needs to find 53 thousandths of a second. And he finds it with pole position to Alessio Rivera, 1 minute 59.661. And the Antonelli Motorsport Mercedes gives him pole over Enrique Chavez by 38 thousandths of a second. And the McLaren isn't out on track at the moment. Tom Onslow Cole remains on track. He's just 0.08 of a second away from that pole position mark. And Rivera is going to be in amongst the traffic with Kang Ling here. So here comes Onslow Cole. It was absolutely even in terms of the pole mark with Rivera through the second sector. What's he been able to do through the third sector? It's enough for pole position for Tom Onslow Cole, and by a big margin, a 1 minute 59.349. And that gives Onslow Cole, with 24 seconds left in the session, pole position by 0.3 of a second. The SPS Mercedes to the top of the timing sheet once more. great lap from Tom Onslow Cole. And Alessio Rivera is not going to be able to respond to it on this occasion. So the checkered flag comes out. And nobody, at least from sectors that we can see, looking likely to post an improvement. Exception actually being Onslow Cole himself, as across the line comes Marcello Hahn. And that is not an improvement for Marcello Hahn, so he will start in 18th place. Now here is that moment that Miguel Ramos had a few moments ago into turn one. The car was pitching pretty sideways and just asking a little bit too much of it in terms of the momentum. And Davide Roda, another view of his adventures. Davide en route to 20th position in the session with AM class pole. Another moment for Roda. AM class pole for Martin Conrad, a very, very impressive 7th place overall. So the entire field covered by just 3.5 seconds. Still got the top 12 covered by just 1.1 seconds. Shows how close it is, but it is that pole position for Tom Onslow Cole, the last couple of cars round to take the flag. Giacomo Altoe snatching 4th position at the flag on his last lap of the session in the ML Frey Racing Lamborghini, splitting the two Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens. And Norbert Seidler, another driver, looking to make a last gasp improvement, and Seidler comes past and he goes up to 7th with a 2 minutes .141. So ML Frey Racing leaving it till late in the session, and both of their drivers improving up to the flag. So a great race in prospect this afternoon when we do get underway. It is going to be start around about 10 to 3. Our coverage is going to start local time, so do make sure that you join us for that, where Tom Onslow Cole will start from pole position in the SPS Mercedes, showing the front row of the grid with another Mercedes, the form of the Antonelli Motorsport car of Alessio Rivera. Field that is very, very evenly matched. And there is happy Onslow Cole. Third on the grid then to Enrique Chavez, alongside Giacomo Altoe, with 5th for Fran Rueda, ahead of Matt Griffin. Here then is the classification, and very, very fine margins between them. So an all-Mercedes front row, and then Enrique Chavez leading the Teo Martin Motorsport charge, ahead of ML Frey Racing's Race 1 winner Giacomo Altoe in row 2. Fran Rueda and Matt Griffin a very rapid row 3, with Norbert Seidler and AM class pole sitter Martin Conrad on row 4. Raffaele Gianmaria and Miguel Ramos rounding out the top 10. Ramos setting his best lap late on as well. Onslow Cole, as well as taking pole, taking Pro-Am pole honours as well. Eliseo Martinez just outside the top 10 on row 6 with Bradley Ellis, ahead of Nicola DeMarco and Jules Gounon. Then Giuseppe Cipriani well up in 15th, ahead of Federico Leo, and then Kang Ling, Marcello Hahn, Christopher Froggatt and Davide Roda. So we will be back later on today, just before 3 o'clock, for the second race of the International GT Open season. Until then, it's goodbye from Paul Ricard.